Welcome back to the Brave Podcast. This is a brand new episode, and we have a ton of interesting stuff to talk about. As you guys know, this podcast is on an array of different subjects and topics, and sometimes I like to just pull up crazy stories, and there's a lot going on right now. And I am here with my awesome co-host, Moshi.
Hey everybody, my name is Mohammed, Moshi Yo on YouTube and Instagram. And right before I introduce our guest, I want to remind you that you can obviously find us here on YouTube, but we're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Some people have found us there, which is actually really cool. Yeah. I don't think we've advertised it much.
Yeah, not too much, but we are there. We are also on Rumble. A lot of times we're going to be doing these after-hour specials on things that are a little bit more spicy that we can't unfortunately post on YouTube just because it's YouTube. I'm also Angelo, known as Exploring with Angelo on YouTube. Normally I go out and hunt ghosts and, go to strange places, do Randonautica stuff and all sorts of crazy stuff. We are here with another guest. Again, we have my good friend, Mike.
How's it going?
Good.
Great.
What's going on, guys?
Happy to have you back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So how's your weekend so far?
It's boring until you called. I wasn't doing anything.
Well, you were doing something, but so we were actually supposed to have two other guys here with us tonight, and they're known as Forgotten Productions. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it at the very last second. They got held up at work, and they're just like, we're not gonna be able to make it on time. It's like, it's all good. And then I called Mike because we had to talk about our trip next week because we're actually going to Alberta, BC, which we're very much looking forward to. A little bit of a vacation. Going to get to see some cool stuff. And I'm like, yo, what are you doing for the next 2 hours? He's like, honestly, probably just drinking, doing nothing, just chilling out after a long week. And I'm like, all right, come hang out with us. Come on the show again. Why not? Right. We are in our studio live here. I got a couple of Stellas here. What are you drinking, Mike?
Maker's Mark bourbon.
No, it's bourbon. I thought you had whiskey. And then what do you have at Moshi?
I won't say the name, but it's a fizzy wizzy,
non-alcoholic. Yeah, and I just got some Stella here. So let's get the party started here. I do have an array of topics. First one that I kind of wanted to talk about is not the one that I pulled up on my screen, but there's been this insane story lately about, I believe it's called the Ocean Quest Titan or something like that. We talked about it on the last episode, and Ocean Gate, I believe it's called. I may have just misspoke.
I think you're right.
Yeah, Moshi's bringing it up. So a lot of you probably heard the news. Basically, there was this submersible that had a mission to go down to the depths of the Titanic on the ocean floor, and they had been searching for 4 days. And what we know now is that basically the first hour and a half, the actual submersible exploded. And there's been so much news about it. There's even some interesting theories regarding what's kind of going on when it comes to politics and stuff like that. And we're going to get into it. Reason why is because for me, I've always been super fascinated by the Titanic, and I've just been absolutely obsessed with it, obsessed with the old theories behind what happened there as well. So we're going to get into all that.
Obsessed is the right word.
I think so, yeah. Right? I've seen the movie probably like 20,000 times at this point. But yeah, it's kind of funny because the movie itself kind of portrays, not kind of, it tells the story as it kind of happened, but there's a lot of things that people don't really understand or don't even really know about what happened to the Titanic. Basically, the whole thing could have been completely avoided so long as people didn't screw up, right? So what I mean by that, and this is kind of part of the conspiracy, is that some have suggested that they hit the iceberg on purpose. Now, I don't know if that's actually true. Some even suggested that they never hit an iceberg at all, that it was actually hit by another ship that was kind of like around there that, was kind of doing an inside job, and then basically damaged the ship. The ship eventually sank, and a lot of people perished, unfortunately, and the ship ended up and is still there on the bottom of the ocean. Apparently the thing is going to deteriorate within the next 10 years. There's the deterioration process has sped up, and they're saying that the whole thing might actually disappear within the next 10 years. So I guess that's why the people on this ship, or this little submersible thing, apparently the CEO was married to the descendants of the, I don't even know their last names, but they were essentially the founders of Macy's, right? So if you've seen the clip of the old couple, and they're holding each other basically on the bed as the room is filling with water, rather. That was actually meant to resemble them, because she refused to leave because he could not get off of the ship. So she stayed behind and basically died with him, which was actually a true fact that really happened. So it's unfortunate, everything that's happened. But you were saying something about, like, you heard something else about it, that they were tight. What did you say?
What I heard, I don't know, I can't remember where I got this from, is that they were using, so I guess it's the hull is maybe in 2 or more pieces before they put the people in, or so, I don't know the details totally, but they used hand tools to tighten the bolts on, I guess, the hull of this machine, this submarine machine.
But normally they,
instead of using what they should have used, which are
air
like
tools,
like impact tools,
right,
to, you know, much stronger, much more force to tighten these bolts. But they were using hand tools, supposedly.
I don't know. I don't really know. I haven't had a chance to really look into any of that information. I mean, it's possible somebody messed up somewhere down the line. We know that much, right? And a lot of people are saying that they were honestly, like, it was just doomed from the very beginning, and that they should have never actually gone down there. It's unfortunate because there's a lot of memes popping up, and it literally just happened. And I feel bad for them, because it's like a lot of people are like, well, they're rich, they deserved it. And it's like, dude, like, you got to have, you know, we're human, right? We got to have some empathy towards people. It was a catastrophe what happened. Very, very unfortunate. But my question to you guys is, first off, with Mike, if you had the opportunity to go down there, would you do it? Like, had none of what just happened, had somebody come forward to you and asked you, would you go, do you want to go down and see the Titanic with your own eyeballs? Would you do it?
Not a chance, my friend.
Why?
There's certain places in this world where humans aren't meant to be.
Agreed.
That's one of them.
The bottom of the ocean.
Yeah. And I think they paid like $250,000
Something like
each
that,
person. Yeah. No.
It's crazy.
I'm pushing the limits getting on a plane, going on vacation for me. I'm good.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, that's like a regular thing that happens, right? People get on planes all the time, so we kind of know that it's, you know, it's foolproof and nothing bad is going to happen. I don't know, man. For me, with my obsession with the Titanic, like, I've been to the museum and I've seen so much, and I've like read so much about the stories, and I'm just always fascinated. Had like not like now after this, hell no, I'd probably not go. But had I been approached and this company came forward and was like, yo, and it's like, let's say money hypothetically was not an issue. Had they come to me and been like, yo, we can bring you down to the Titanic wreckage and you can see it with your own eyes. We have this really cool submersible. It fits 5 people. It's totally safe, regardless of the fact that we tightened all the bolts by hand. Would you do it? Honestly, at that point, I probably would have considered it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just like a risk taker like that. I probably would have regretted it about, 10 minutes in, once you're all like, because they're like super close to each other.
Yeah, I feel like I saw some videos and it was no space.
Yeah.
Someone has to have their legs straight out the whole time. How many hours were they supposed to be in this thing?
I think it was like 8, no?
No, more. Apparently, just to get down there would have been about 11 and change, give or take.
I heard it was 2.5 to get down.
No. From what I heard was 11. I don't know. You want to maybe confirm that? But I heard it was an 11. It was supposed to be an 11-hour thing. I don't know if that meant maybe the whole tour. But from what I heard, it was an 11-hour descent, I think. I don't know. I could be mistaken. Moshi's actually going to pull it up right now. But what happened was they got to about an hour and a half in, and then the pressure essentially made the thing crush itself, which is insane. So
there's conflicting thoughts.
Reports, right?
Some people think they were dead hour and a half in. Other people think, they were alive for a few days. I don't know what to believe.
Yeah. It's strange because we have a lot of, like you said, conflicting reports, and a lot of people are arguing now that the U.S. Navy already knew, right? They claim they had heard an explosion, and it's kind of weird because a lot of other people pointed out that they were doing this massive search all over the place. Now, like you said, I don't know what to believe either. We're just kind of having a conversation about it because it's interesting, but it would have made sense. Like, why are you? First of all, you're claiming that you heard an explosion. You knew roughly where it would have where it was supposed to land had there been an explosion or implosion in this case. And you were doing this whole rescue mission going everywhere, and then all of the news companies all put this little timer thing like when they were supposed to run out of air, and everybody's like, oh my god, are they gonna find them? And it's crazy too, because in reality they knew they could never save them. There's nothing that they could have, even if the thing was down in the bottom of the ocean, there is no thing that could have possibly gone down to actually get the crew. Nothing. There's nothing that actually exists. Like, actual submarines can't even go that far down into the ocean, from what I've heard. Right. So it was basically like doomed, like I said, from the very beginning. And it's super sad. But
what I'm reading here, I don't have the details on how far down it is yet, but how long it would take to get down. What I'm seeing is most submarines travel at a test depth, which is like normal peacetime conditions. The deepest they would go would be 300 to 400 meters below surface. Now, the Atlantic Ocean, where the Titanic wreck was found, is the second deepest of the world's oceans, with a maximum depth of 8,376 meters, which is like 20 times the normal depth.
Yeah, let's see. So I'm searching up how long was the Titan supposed to be. Let's see. I don't know. I'm honestly not sure. I just remember reading approximately 11 hours. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. Doesn't really say, does it? But yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know. Are you guys like super familiar with the conspiracy theory?
No. What?
So basically, there was accusations that the Titanic itself, the RMS Titanic, had been switched with its sister ship known as the RMS Olympic. And what had happened was the RMS Olympic was finished first and actually set sail and was damaged on its maiden voyage so badly to the point where it was a lot of money to repair it, and they just didn't want to do it. So supposedly, again, this is just a theory. This is not based on any actual fact, but again, a theory. Basically what the White Star Line had done, who owned the two ships, had actually swapped the ships themselves and essentially called the RMS Olympic the Titanic and sent that one out on its maiden voyage with the intention to destroy the ship itself, have it sink to the bottom of the ocean, and make a very large insurance claim. There was a lot of things that people have supposedly debunked, but a lot of people still believe the theory to be actual fact, like actually what happened.
Do we know if the insurance thing went through? Did they actually claim? Any idea?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up just to see. A lot of people claimed a lot of people had claimed they increased the insurance value on the ship before the Titanic set sail. And then there's also people who claim that there's photos, now I don't know if these photos are doctored or not, of the actual propellers on the bottom, like after the Titanic's already sank. They show the propellers that have a stamp on it, and they're like, the stamp apparently is supposed to say that like this propeller was originally from the RMS Olympic. Now, I don't know. Again, I just thought it was really fascinating. I'm like, wow, that's very interesting. And the reason why they believe that is because the Federal Reserve Act was just about to pass in the United States, and there were several people on board who were against it and were supposed to basically vote against it and make sure it doesn't happen. Fast forward all these years later, now we have super high inflation. The U.S. owes trillions upon trillions of dollars to the Federal Reserve, which was supposed to be voted down by these people, and the rest is history.
Wasn't there a lot of valuables on the Titanic? I heard there was gold, artifacts,
tons
Rose's
of stuff.
necklace.
Rose's necklace. So supposedly some people say there is some truth to Rose's necklace. A lot of people, believe it or not, actually believe that Rose and Jack were real people. Now, there's arguments that there was some sort of love story that Jack and Rose are based off of, but obviously the two characters are completely fictional and just entirely made up for the movie, right? Just to portray it in the movie. Yeah. But some people have suggested that like the Jewel of the Ocean, which was her necklace, was supposedly based on an actual jewel that may in fact be down at the bottom of the Titanic. So I don't really know off the top of my head. I just know a lot of like the weird facts about things. Like you said, how there was supposed to be a lot of valuables. One thing I do remember hearing was that the Rockefeller at the time, Mr. Rockefeller, who was probably the wealthiest person in the world, had canceled his voyage on the Titanic right before it left. Right. So a lot of people are like, see, he's in on it. He knew it. Right. Because we're talking about the Rockefellers here, like one of the most powerful mans in the world, was supposed to be on it, then supposedly canceled because he had claimed he was sick, but then he had gotten caught that he was actually with his mistress at the time, and I don't know,
Always got to throw a mistress in.
There's always got to be a mistress.
Has to be a mistress. Always a mistress.
Going back to the insurance, I'm just reading something called Lloyds.com, which apparently is an insurance company. Back on the 9th of January, the brokers Willis Faber and Co. had come to Lloyd's underwriting room to insure the Titanic and her sister ship, the Olympic, on behalf of the White Star Line. It was considered a prestigious risk, with cover for the hull alone standing at £1 million. Numerous syndicates put their names on the slip, covering amounts ranging from £10,000 to £75,000. They were able to negotiate a premium for the insurance at £7,500.
Wow.
For the whole ship, or for both ships. I don't know what it's saying.
But that would have been a lot of money back then.
Yeah, and this is obviously very, very expensive. The Titanic will long be remembered as one of the market's biggest losses. Yeah, very sad.
Yeah, it's. A lot of people died on board. And that was another part of the conspiracy, is that when the ship did sink, obviously we know, had you seen the movie, Rose was complaining that there was not enough lifeboats, right? Which was in fact true. There was not enough lifeboats. And basically, when the ship had sank, there was actually another ship that supposedly was being told to stand by, because of course, according to the theory, which is just a theory, they were told to stand by to wait for this to happen, right? And apparently there was actually another little ship somewhere nearby that was supposedly hunting seals, and because of the curvature of the Earth, which discredits all you flat earthers, sorry about that, but is what it is. According to the curvature of the Earth, when the Titanic was shooting off flares, they could not see it because of the curvature of the Earth. They were just far enough away that they couldn't see the flares. And then eventually the other ship came, which supposedly was almost empty and just had a bunch of life vests on the actual ship itself. I've just been reading a bunch of this stuff all, over the past few years and whatever. I just find it very fascinating. I've heard some stuff that has debunked it, some stuff that said it was entirely true. I don't know. I just think it's interesting info to look at, and there could be some facets of truth behind all of this, right? White Star Line had a lot of issues. The RMS Britannic, which was actually the very first sister ship of the three, also lies at the bottom of the ocean and happened well before the other one. So it's kind of funny how all of these ships all ended up in essentially with the same fate. They all crashed into something on their maiden voyage. Wow. So it's what were these guys up to?
That's what I was just gonna say is what happened to the Britannic.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact story, but I as far as I know, on its maiden voyage or something, it it was lost in World War I.
Before the First World War.
Yeah. So.
Designed to be the safest of the three ships.
Wait, I thought the Titanic was supposed to be the safest of the three ships.
Well, this is Wikipedia, so you can definitely trust it.
Oh, 100%. Wikipedia is totally 100% always reliable.
Shaken by an explosion caused by a naval mine of the Imperial German Navy near the Greek island of Kay, and sank 55 minutes later, killing 30 people.
Wow.
Yeah. 1,036 survivors.
Huh.
That's a good ratio.
Yeah, it's a pretty good, decent ratio. Way better than the Titanic, right?
The Titanic had 2,400 people or something like that.
Yeah. There was a lot of, and most of the time it was lower class people. So second class, third class on the Titanic. Let me tell you, to be on the Titanic as a first class member was pretty freaking amazing at the time. I've seen, because I went to the museum in Branson, Missouri, and they have copies of the menu, and so you could see the things that they were eating, and oh man, it was an incredible experience, because they have what's an entire copy of the grand staircase. They have a copy of what would have been the control rooms and all of that stuff, and it was really, it was kind of like actually being on the Titanic for real. right? So
I'd go there. I'd go to there.
Oh, it's
Branson,
so cool.
Branson, Missouri.
Branson, Missouri. There's one in Vegas. There's one in New York City now.
Okay. I was gonna say, is there anything else to see in Branson, Missouri?
So Branson, Missouri is kind of weird. Branson, Missouri, to me there's a lot actually.
No, I believe it. I'm
right.
Sure. I want to know.
In actuality, like Missouri is like very naturey. It's known as the Ozarks. They have a lot of lakes, a lot of trees, hilly mountains, that kind of thing. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Like Missouri, if you like the outdoors, Missouri is like the place to go.
Cool.
Branson, Missouri, we get there and we're kind of like, what is this? It felt like Clifton Hill and Niagara Falls. Like that's how I would describe it. There was all these little like museums and things, you know, obviously that were meant for, you know, entertainment and different rides and like roller coasters, and like you're just driving down this random road and there's just all this stuff everywhere that you can go and hang out, and it's like exactly like as if you're going to the Canadian side of Niagara Falls. And I say Canadian side because the American side has basically nothing on their side. I mean, they got like a few restaurants and stuff. I don't know if you guys ever done the US Niagara Falls, but it's kind of lame. No offense, US, but we love you. But it's
well, that's why they're always coming to our side, though.
Exactly. They see us having so much fun, except for when we were in lockdown. They were having more fun than us. But so yeah, that's pretty much where we're at with the Titanic. We're kind of just like, I'm curious to know what happened. Like, it was such a big story.
The Titanic or the Titan?
The Titan.
Yeah, like James Cameron was giving them a lot of shit.
Oh yeah. Like Mo was just watching that before, and he was basically saying like, you had an idea that this was going to happen. Why would you go out and do it? But even regardless of that, the interesting part and the confusion right now is why there was such mixed up stories about everything. And some people are suggesting, of course, if you're in the political hemisphere and you go on Twitter, a lot of people are claiming that because this week, Hunter Biden, President Joe Biden's son, was actually arrested and charged, basically given a slap on the wrist, which is whatever. I mean, you could have kind of predicted that was going to happen, right?
Sorry, for what? What are we talking about?
So as far as I know, I didn't get a chance to really look into all of the charges, but from what I know, it had to do with an illegal firearm. So basically where he was, which I don't remember the exact jurisdiction of where he was, apparently he had acquired a firearm, and when he had written, now if you're familiar with the Hunter Biden scenario, the dude has a lot of problems, especially when it comes to drugs. Like it's on film.
Drugs and women.
Yeah, drugs and women.
Drugs and women.
Yeah, so I mean there's way more to it, but the basic part of it is that, to my knowledge, to my understanding, is that he had acquired a firearm. He had to put it on his application, and when it asked, do you do drugs, basically, he checked off no. Right now, at the time, he was most likely on drugs, and that is actually, you cannot acquire a firearm if you do drugs. In certain jurisdictions, they will not even give you a firearm if you smoke marijuana.
So are they doing drug tests after this application?
As far as I know, no. I guess it depends probably where you are, but according to his jurisdiction, I guess I don't even know. Like I don't have all the time in the world to go through all the information, so we're just kind of touching
some tax evasion as well.
Was it something like that?
Issues.
Yeah, I know there was like a whole bunch of issues, but and then eventually he ended up throwing the firearm away in like a garbage can somewhere near a school, which is just a huge offense. You can't be doing that kind of stuff. And but apart from that, what they're saying is that the whole Titan story was blown up out of proportion. I guess I wouldn't say out of proportion, but made to be much larger to kind of hide all the other news that was happening. And the funny part is that they always end up releasing the most important news that they don't want you to hear on a Friday. Because what happens on a Friday? People don't give a shit about news on a Friday, right? News comes out and it goes to die. And then come Monday, the news cycle starts all over again, right?
And did you hear about the big accounting error at the Pentagon this week
heard
as
about
well?
it. Yeah, there was a
$6 billion.
6.8, I think it was, right? Apparently there was an accounting error. And what was it that they gave 6.8 billion extra to Ukraine by accident?
Oh, I did hear about
it was
that.
by accident.
Well, I mean, is anything that the U.S. government does by accident, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
A lot of money.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of money. I didn't go into too much detail about that as well, so I can't really speak too much on that, but just hearing something like that is like, whoa, okay, so just an accounting error, you say.
Missed a few receipts, no big deal.
Yeah, it's
That's
just
okay.
a few extra donuts,
6.8
right?
billion, not a problem.
No big deal.
No big deal.
We won't talk about that. But the Titan, you say, we will bring that up. We will put a counter, even though the U.S. Navy is seeing that they kind of already knew that they were all dead. That's kind of the point, right? So they were going on for an entire week about this, and then at the end of it, they're like, "Oh yeah, we kind of already knew that there was no hope. They were all done."
What was with the banging? They said they heard banging.
Well, the banging would have been the implosion, supposedly.
No.
Okay.
So apparently,
I don't think
is that
so.
what it was? Or?
No, so they released audio of, I think, a Canadian plane was flying over and like trying to sense, and what they heard was what sounded a lot like someone banging.
Yeah, from inside.
From inside the thing.
Which is probably impossible considering they were already dead. No,
That's right.
like how would
Who
that make
knows?
any sense?
I don't know. And we should look up when it was that they found that audio.
Yeah,
So.
I don't know. I'm intrigued now that you say there's audio of something like that, and it's crazy, man. And it reminds me a lot of the that's why I'm kind of waiting, because I want to see exactly what they say. Like if they happen to, I don't know how the hell they would do it, but if they go down and see what the wreckage looks like, because they know where it is. It's on the ocean floor now, not too far from where the Titanic is. So I'm curious to know like what their answer will be as to exactly what happened. Did they suffer? Oh, you actually found it. Is that it?
I'm gonna put it here so you can bring it up on your computer.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So Moshi said he found the actual.
It's a YouTube
audio.
video of the audio. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Sometimes I don't.
Will the audio come through
Yeah, it will. Hang on.
after that? After this ad of
Yeah,
audio.
there's an ad playing right now, so I don't really
It
want to.
sounded anyway that you're gonna play it, but it was chilling. That like if that was if that's real, these 5 people banging from the inside, like
who is this from?
But I guess the question is, what are they banging for?
Test one.
Who's gonna
I don't know.
who's gonna hear it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, realistically, in a moment of panic like that, like what else are you really going to
I don't
do?
know.
Why will this thing?
Well, they said at the
know,
beginning
pause?
that they were hearing even banging every half hour,
Really?
and
Hmm.
how that the CEO
This
would
season-
know that they'd be testing for sounds, looking for
Yeah.
them,
Oh,
and that every half hour is a pretty big coincidence. if
This
it's-
is wild, man. I'm telling you, this whole story is just wild. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. There's so many different stories, and everything's kind of like, one person says this, one person says that. And it's just like, so what is the actual truth behind this? Like, are you trying to hide something? Is that what's happening? Did something happen that you're trying to clearly hide? And why? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But let me bring this up here for you guys. Let's see.
yeah, that's what I heard.
I don't know. I don't even know if this
That's
is
eerie.
Yeah. Listen again closer, it says. I don't know. I don't know.
Hard to
The
say.
fact that there's like a reverb on that kind of makes me question it, because like, why would there be a reverb on something? Like, how would, I don't know. I have no idea, but I mean, it could just be like fake audio and made up stuff. Like I've heard there's
Possible.
actually fake audio. I searched it up yesterday of the Challenger. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Challenger, but it was essentially a space shuttle that malfunctioned many years ago. It was very famous and historic. It was supposed to be the first civilian on board that was going to be sent to space. I don't remember her name, but I do remember she was a teacher, and she was supposed to do like these teaching classes, broadcasting back to Earth, and it was going to be like monumental. And
Krista McAuliffe.
that's it. Yeah, that's it. So
McAuliffe.
Yeah. So there was a period of time when I had become obsessed with like NASA stuff, space shuttle type of things. And I actually went to the Kennedy Space Center, and they actually have recovered rubble of the Challenger after it exploded. And they have like pieces of it inside of the museum. And it's kind of eerie to see stuff like that. And also knowing that there were warning signs, like people knew that this thing was going to blow up. And apparently it was a malfunction with the O-rings. They were leaking and the entire thing blew up while their family members were watching it happen live. And it took a few seconds before people kind of reacted because they didn't know what happened. They're like, oh, for some reason the rocket separated really early, but that's not what happened. The thing blew up. And then they kind of realized that, you know, something went wrong, and yeah, the rest is history. It's a very, very eerie story. There's a whole like documentary about it on Netflix. But yeah, oh, you found it?
Just a video.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but it's
No.
There's actually I think that's the newest footage of it from CNN. Apparently they have like better footage than the original footage that was used, and it's it's crazy, absolutely insane in the membrane. So we got another crazy story here. There was a woman who had been declared dead in Ecuador who knocked on her own coffin during her wake.
How crazy is that?
Right? So I've heard of stuff like this happening before. It did used to happen back in the day. So I have a cousin, I think it was my cousin, who told me the story about how there was this lady, she had passed away and they buried her underground. And one of her relatives was having dreams, and this woman would come to her in her dreams and be like, help me, I'm cold and I can't get out. And it was her.
That's
right?
crazy.
So they went back. Yeah, right? So they went back to the cemetery. They pulled the body up. They opened up the casket. At this point, she had obviously suffocated to death, but she had actually been alive. She was alive. They literally buried her alive. They found scratch marks on the coffin because at some point she woke up. And she was panicking. I mean, you're in this dark box and you don't even know where the hell you are because, I mean, you don't know what happened. And yeah, they literally buried her alive. So I don't know really like all the details about the story. So it says a 76-year-old woman who was declared dead at a hospital in Ecuador astonished her relatives by knocking on her coffin during her wake.
Can you imagine being at that?
Right?
At the wake, oh
Dude, I would like crap my pants. But yeah, apparently during her wake, and the incident has prompted a government investigation into the hospital. Relatives left the coffin behind and rushed retired nurse Bella Montoya back to the hospital after the wake Friday in the central city of blah, 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 blah. Gave us all a fright, Barbara said, adding that doctors have said his mother's situation remains dire. So it's crazy. So they actually confirmed that she was alive. Then the story got just a little bit crazier. Let me see which one it is here. So apparently the lady died 7 days after this happened.
Yeah, I heard that.
Right? I'm like, dude, how do you muck this up this bad? Like that's insane. But yeah, that would literally make me shit my pants.
I don't know if I'd ever be able to go to a funeral again after that. If that happened and I was there. Ooh, I don't know.
Dude, apparently there was even a viral video sometime this week of a man who faked his own death or something, and then he showed up at his own funeral in a helicopter or something. What the?
Oh god!
Did any of you guys see? I didn't watch it. You saw it?
That. Yeah.
So
some
like
rich dude.
Yeah.
Publicity.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
I used to work in a cemetery.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe 10 years ago.
What'd you do?
Groundskeeping for the city. And a portion of the cemetery was from the 1800s. So nowadays, when someone dies and you go to the coroner or you go wherever, protocol is you get hooked up to a heart machine, make sure you're not there, you're dead.
Yeah.
Right? You never know. Back in the day, they didn't have this technology. Now I think in Ecuador, maybe that was the issue too. But if you go to some of the old grave sites, there's a little wrought iron hook beside the tombstone. You can go and see them today. And on the end, there's another little hook, and they used to hang a bell and run string or chain down into the coffin so that if you woke up buried alive, you would pull on that string and you hear the bell ringing so that you can alert someone to come get you out of the grave. That was reality in the 1800s, right? So
my question is, you as the groundskeeper walking around the cemetery, did you ever hear a bell or thought you heard a bell?
No.
Did that ever happen? Never happened?
No.
Oh, man.
Thank God.
Well, we went there once at night, and it was interesting.
Yeah?
Oh, what happened there at night?
Freaky.
Okay,
Very
tell us. You got to tell us.
Very eerie. Took random pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's anything, but you know, the orbs,
Okay.
they were everywhere. Like there was just dust. Like they say it's dust, right? I don't know if it's real or what it is.
Yeah,
bullshit
but
or
you're
whatever the fuck it is.
outside, though. Why would there be so much dust?
I still
right?
have the pictures at home.
Mhm.
There's orbs everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know.
I guess that was kind of
One of my
freaky for
favorite
you.
jobs. Yeah, no, I loved it. Very peaceful.
I bet. I love cemeteries, especially old cemeteries are like my thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I went like just last week. I went to a cemetery by myself to film, and it was pretty awesome. I saw some crazy stuff there, but yeah, I'll probably save that for a live stream and probably talk about what I saw maybe tomorrow or something on my channel. But yeah, so another update. This one's kind of funny too. So,
This again.
do you guys remember the story of the AI? Was it with Mike? Were you here when we spoke about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently this woman is married to an AI person, and recently she spoke about it. She said a woman who married her AI husband says that she's open to dating other people in the real world. Rosanna Ramos, a 36-year-old mother from New York, said that she knows her AI chatbot partner is fake. One of her dating conditions is that a partner accepts her virtual husband. Aaron is here to stay.
I love the comment. Wait.
What's the comment?
Go back. Hot take. Let's
Yeah.
be honest with and actually help people with mental illness instead of affirming their delusions.
I agree. I have to say that.
I agree.
I 100%
there
agree
comes
with
a
that.
line. There comes a line where you need to talk about
Exactly.
reality and what's
Exactly.
not reality. And
So,
shit like that,
it's
it's
kinda-
just dangerous.
It's kind of crazy,
It's
man.
dangerous.
Like the way the world is right now, which we'll get into it about like things like online dating, and there's all these romance scams out there, and we will get into a little bit about it later on. But I cannot like if I've dated some nutsos. Okay, I've dated
both.
some. I know Mike's had his fair share of nutsos as well. Moshi, have you? had
He's
any-
dying.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
No.
He's dying right now. Mike needs a second.
Have I? No, not really. No. I was very selective in my dating
That was
pool.
very selective. Oh my god, that's
Coming off the guard
hilarious.
there.
I mean, I didn't plan on bringing it up.
I'm
It
gonna.
just kind of
Oh
came out.
no!
but-
I need the story.
No, I need to know something. I mean, whatever you're willing
If
to
there's
share.
anything you can
but-
share, and
was,
you don't have to say names.
It was toxic.
It was toxic. Yeah.
It got to a point where, mind you, I didn't do anything to break trust. She asked me one day, and this is towards the end, where are you? I was with Anthony, our friend,
Okay.
having a coffee, as we do almost every weekend. I said, I'm at Tim Hortons having a coffee. Send me a picture of the Tim Hortons. I said, that's it. You're done.
That's
You're
a bit
done.
much.
That's insane. Send you a
Yeah.
picture of the Tim Hortons. That's
Yeah.
where it ends.
It's like really, you don't like you don't have any trust whatsoever, right?
Psycho. No.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of psychos. You've met some of them, and I mean, not even just psychos, but just some of them were just very strange. Moshi's laughing at me. He knows exactly who I'm talking about.
I want to sing a song. Can I sing one line from a song? And they might give it away.
No. We'll save that for the after hours.
Okay.
That one's. I know
Okay, that's
exactly
good.
what you're
That's
about to
good.
say,
Yeah.
but oh my god. But yeah, dude, some people, man, like I can't imagine like if I met this girl and it's like, oh yeah, dude, imagine. Okay, so you meet this chick online and she's great, has great personality, she's intelligent, whatever, and then all of a sudden 4 weeks later she's like, by the way, I'm married. And you're just like, you're married? Why wouldn't you tell me something like that? Like, what the hell? And then I'm like, okay, to who? And she goes, a computer. And I'm like, excuse me? Excuse you? I'm like, what? Like, what? A computer? She's like, yeah, I'm married to an AI husband. His name is Aaron, and he looks like what was the character from the
Attack on Titan?
Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
And I'd just be like, okay. And then she's just like, if you want to be with me, that's cool. I accept a real life husband, but you also have to accept him. Right? Just, no, thank you.
It's a red flag.
It's definitely a red flag.
Run.
But
Imagine it took 4 weeks though for that to come out.
Right?
Not that, you know, hey, I'm actually married to an AI, but like there was no other crazy signs for 4 weeks.
I don't know, man.
Point?
Sometimes
that's even worse.
Yeah, I mean, that's right.
Those are the ones that'll cut you up and put you in a suitcase.
Yeah.
Oh man, no.
Oh my god. But yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine dealing with somebody like that. But
I still want to know, how do they get married?
I don't
What's
know.
the marriage?
I want to know that too. Like, how does this work?
I understand you can like fill out a wedding application, a marriage application online, but don't you need a signature for the other person? Don't you need someone to witness this?
Maybe okay. Huh? What'd you say?
Maybe the officiant was AI.
Oh, maybe.
Good Lord.
Maybe. So it's like you walk into the courthouse and you just have 2 cell phones, and the judge or whoever, I guess, I don't know, I've never. How do they do that? Like, how do you get married? I don't know how do you get married in City Hall. But imagine you go to the officiant or whatever who's supposed to like do the paperwork, and it's like, okay, where's your partner? And you're like, he's right here. And you're like, okay, well, where's the pastor or whatever? Oh, he's here as well. And the person's just like, what? And it's just like this digitized person on the screen.
No, I can't do it.
Like, oh my god, dude. But I don't know, man.
There's certain things in life that we have to accept.
Yes.
I'm not accepting that.
I mean, okay. For me, at least when it comes to this woman, at least she's accepted that the person is not real. She knows that. She's still living in some weird version of reality that's obviously not, non-existent, but at the very least, she's aware that this person doesn't actually exist.
So if this is possible, can I create AI children and claim it on my taxes and get child benefits?
I mean, try it out, dude. I'd be curious to try it, right? Like if you actually believe that this is your real child. I mean, the person when you show up to do the paperwork might think you're totally fucking nuts.
I'm pretty sure that we have a baby at home, and all I did was fill out paperwork, but I had to get the birth certificate from the hospital. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Yeah.
Or I got papers from the hospital to apply for the birth certificate online. I think that's what it was.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have some sort of like proof that this child exists, right?
Yeah. I mean, you'd think that a marriage license would need proof that one of the two people exists.
I don't know, man. I know there's like certain places that you can just go and you can just marry your dog or an airplane or whatever. Right. I think I remember, those crazy like TLC shows where people do just the weirdest thing and they fall in love. I think there was one that they fell in love with an airplane or something like that. Okay. And they were literally having their own version of sexual intercourse with this airplane. And I'm just like, what is this? Like, how do you fall in love? Like, I get it. Airplanes are totally fucking awesome. Like, they're cool, but really? I don't know, man. I feel like some people they have a weird psychosis going on and they're just confused. But yeah, majority of the nutsos that I've managed to come across were on online dating, and yeah, there was just I have some crazy stories that I probably shouldn't go into and probably won't go into, but some of these people, like some of the people on online dating, are just crazy.
Dangerous.
Yes, very dangerous. And you guys, you met Kat through online
Tinder.
dating as well, right?
Yeah.
So did you come across a lot of like really weird people before meeting Kat?
I did.
Yeah.
She was my second in-person date. But leading up to that, a lot of, texting back and forth with other people, a lot of psychos.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the area we live in or what it is, but I was ready to give up and just, I'm done with this. And good thing I didn't.
Yeah.
I have a similar story, not so much crazies, but the giving up part. Yeah. So we used Match.com, me and my wife, and I was paying for like, I don't remember now why I was paying for it. I guess it was more like I don't know if the guys have to just pay to actually get messages across or something. I can't remember the situation, but I was ready to. I was like, you know what, forget this. I've been doing this for like, I don't know, maybe a year or more, on multiple websites, and I was like, forget this. This is not working. So I decided, okay, I'm not gonna continue paying. I stopped the payment, and they give you like your final month or whatever. And then my wife messaged me within that time.
Wow.
Yeah,
dude, it was literally meant to be.
Literally meant to be.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I kind of believe in fate. If it's like something like that is meant to be, then it's amazing. Like I know a bunch of other people too. Some of my best friends found their partners online dating, and they got really lucky. And it was like the first out of the first like 3 or 4 people that they met, and then they ended up realizing that it was forever at that point. So that's pretty amazing. I have not been as fortunate, unfortunately. I mean, I've had some decent ones. Like I think the coolest one was Fox. She was different in her own way. I feel like everybody's kind of different in their own way. She was cool. Like we stayed friends. She actually designed my merch for me. But the other ones, like there was other ones that were just like, what is wrong with these people? Like, I don't know what the deal is, but is what it is. But then it kind of leads us up to things like romance scams. And there's just so many of them nowadays. It's just all like, if I go in my DM requests on Instagram, and that's a lot of times why I don't, because there's so many of these romance scams, like these fake women that are like, oh, click this link and come to my website or whatever. And obviously it's just pornography or whatever the hell it is. And but then there's other ones that are kind of pretending to be legitimate, whether they're from somewhere in Europe, or whether they're from Japan or Australia or wherever it might be. And just the fact that how far some of these people are willing to go. Like I know stories about that they've kind of done, like they've gone along with it to try and trick people. They'll take months to even years, right? And people actually think that they're falling in love. And there's usually, certain boxes that they'll check off, and that'll be pretty much a telltale sign as to whether this person legitimately exists or not. And more often than not, they'll obviously say they're from the other side of the world. Then they'll tell you that they're traveling somewhere and they'll be there for like months. They'll tell you they have a lot of money, which maybe they do from scamming all the other suckers on the internet. And people just fall for it, and it's hard. The problem is that it's very hard to tell somebody that, hey dude, like the person that you're talking to doesn't actually exist. They're scamming you. Like they're taking you.
It's hard to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Because you don't want to hear it. Because these people are like, they're telling you, oh, I love you and I'd do anything for you. And then they sneeze and you're like, oh, you have such a cute sneeze. Right? And it's just like, it's weird. It's weird stuff. But, huh?
It's COVID, not a cute
It's COVID. But I don't know, man. It's just like the extent that these people are willing to go, and then they'll push you away from all your family and friends. And I know plenty of people who've fallen for this stuff and actually sent them money at the end of the day. Like actually, you remember I mentioned Joe before, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So before he passed away, basically he had fallen for, I think twice. No, sorry. Yeah, I think twice. I think one was actually legit. He actually ended up going to see this girl in Alabama and then just realized it wasn't for him. And then after that, he fell for one of like the most common ones, which is they pretend that they're in the military, right? So they're always abroad because they live on military camp, right? So when they send you photos or whatever, obviously they're in military garb, uniform or whatever, and they move around a lot and whatever. And then eventually they come to you and they're like, and this could take a long time. That's what people don't realize. Like they're so convinced, like, no, they haven't asked me for anything, right?
Yeah.
They have plenty of money. They even offered me some money. I'm like, yeah, that's the part of the scam, dude. They're trying hard to convince you that it's, it's a real life thing. And then a year down the road, they're like, hey, so I invested in this crypto thing, and I just made like $400,000 in 24 hours. You should really take part of this. You trust me, right? You trust me. So then all of a sudden you start getting suckered into it and you're investing in this weird crypto scam that actually isn't legit at all. And maybe if it's fraud, you might even end up in jail yourself because you're committing fraud at this point. And that's just how these people operate. Like, these people do not care, right? Like, I've spoken to some of these people before, and then they start making all these weird ass stories, and things just don't add up, right? And I've been trying to kind of like figure out how they do a lot of this, like to the point where how they convince you that they're real, how they make their photos, how they do, because a lot of times you'll talk to them on the phone and they have like, maybe some sort of voice changer, or maybe they're actually from where they claim to be and they're just obviously in on the scam, hence why their Australian accent might be so good. But yeah, it's wild. And then it's like, how do they do the video call stuff? Like, how are they, is it that replica thing that we were actually talking about the other day? How does it look so legitimate, right? So these are all kind of questions that
I suspect with the video calls, it is a person that they have,
possibly,
and they're in on it. And it's like, it's a pretty person who's, doing this to a bunch of different people, and they're willing to like put in 20 minutes, half an hour for a phone call to get, the $1,000 at the end.
I don't know.
We had a gentleman that I work with. He doesn't work for the company anymore. Was going through something similar. And like you said, video called a lady, legit all the time. She's not AI. Back 10 years ago, I don't think that was a thing anyway, but sometimes she'd send him pictures and you can see that a man is taking these pictures in the reflection of a mirror.
Oh man.
So we would tell him, like, come on man, like, you can see someone's taking these pictures. Like, it looks sketchy, but you're head over heels. You don't want to hear it. At
that point, nothing you say matters.
Come on.
Yeah. Do you know what ended up like happening? Did he ever end up realizing that it was a scam?
He sent money and eventually realized that, I've lost some money and it's obviously bullshit. And he blocked that person, but it was a good year.
That's sad, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. So you were saying that they were actually doing video calls with this person.
Like, there was a legit lady video calling him all the time. And sometimes she'd send him pictures and he would show us, look how pretty she is. Nothing provocative, just a regular picture. And one of the pictures, she's in front of a mirror and you can see the guy taking the picture for her standing behind her.
Oh, so there was actually another person.
Yeah, there was a guy taking, close, involved in it or whatever it is. And it was just so obvious. He was an older guy, so he wasn't really in tune with tech and all that. But we were kind of like, yeah, man, I think you're getting scammed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I find they prey a lot on older people, but there are younger people who fall for it too. But there's a lot, mostly older people, like especially when it comes to the government ones. Yeah. Like, oh, this is Sheriff Rod Stewart calling from the Canada Revenue Agency, and you will be under arrest if you don't pay your taxes, and then they get you to buy like an iTunes card or something like that. Oh, yeah. And you gotta
be like, come on.
Yeah, but unfortunately, like, older people don't know, right? Because they're not into, like, somebody like, I don't know, somebody like my grandmother, for example. I mean, she wouldn't know any better.
Does she even know what an iTunes card
exactly,
is? Exactly. My grandma
right?
wouldn't even know what that is anyway.
Right? Like, okay, I don't know. Could get me a Walmart gift card or something, right? And it's like, okay, I guess. Like, what am I supposed to do? But sometimes it's too late before you actually end up realizing that it's all part of some weird scam or whatever the hell is going on. But yeah, there's
which scams are really I feel like I don't know if we've spoke about this already. The ones that are really advanced are the ones that are using AI to like copy someone's voice and videos. Did we talk about that already?
I think you mentioned it. There's a website, I don't remember what it's called, but there's a website where all you need to do is literally say a sentence or have a sentence of somebody saying something, and then that AI can actually recreate your voice. Yeah. So I know a person who actually is creating content. So what they did was they made a recording of their voice, and then what they did was they used this whole AI generator along with that, and the voice creator is creating the entire story for the video. So we're talking like a minute too long, completely AI generated video. And then you can use the other AIs to put all the visual together. Yeah. And then like you can obviously go back in and chop in what you want in or what you want out sort of thing. But it's good. I've heard it before. Yeah. And it's like, dude, that literally almost sounds exactly like you. That's crazy.
Yeah. And the scams that they're using. So what they're doing with these scams is they're calling like older folks and saying, "Hey, I'm your grandkid. I've lost my phone. I need you to send me money or whatever it is. You know, I need you to meet me here with," and then they get scammed somehow.
Yeah. It's pretty sad when it happens, but you got to be careful. Not everything is as it seems. Unfortunately, just some people fall for it. So there was another story that kind of caught my attention at some point this week. Have you guys ever seen the movie The Terminal?
I've heard of it.
Heard of it?
No,
I think it was,
what
was it, Tom Hanks, I think?
Yeah.
It was really good. So it was basically the story of, so the actual movie itself was a story of this man who he came to, I think it was New York. He landed in New York City. And by the time he landed, his country went into civil war and his country essentially no longer existed. So the US could not let him leave the airport. They're like, "We're sorry, but until everything's resolved, until we can help you, you have to stay in the airport." He had nowhere else to go. He couldn't go back home because his country no longer existed. And basically the whole movie I think spans over like a few weeks to a month or something like that. And it's just like Tom Hanks kind of just like roaming around this airport, and he's like, you know, basically living there. And he was originally, because he had no money or anything, his currency was worthless, right? It didn't actually mean anything because his country no longer exists. So he had nothing to survive on, and he was just like eating ketchup packets and stuff like that. And he would go to the washroom and he'd shave, and he found a little spot that kind of looked like an abandoned part of the terminal that they no longer use, and he put a bunch of chairs together, and he stayed there for a very long time until finally, I don't remember how it ended, but finally they told him like, "Okay, you're free to go now." And he's just like, okay. And I just thought it was like a really interesting
Which airport
movie.
was this?
I think it was New York. I think it was,
if I'm reading it right, it was Paris.
The actual story might have been Paris, but the movie itself, I believe, was New York City.
I see.
If I'm not mistaken.
Got it.
So, but the actual story, which I didn't even know all these details, and I think that's what you're looking at, but it says the man who was stuck in an airport for 18 years, Mehran Karimi Nasser, born 1946, also known as Sir Alfred Miran, is an Iranian refugee who lived the departure lounge of Terminal 1 in Charles de Gaulle, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, airport from August 26, 1988 until July 2006 when he was hospitalized. His autobiography was published as a book, The Terminal Man, in 2004. Nasseri's story inspired the 2004 film The Terminal. That's wild.
Wow.
Right? Like, does it actually say? I'm trying to imagine. Dude,
Yep.
I cannot imagine living in an airport for like 18 years.
I can't handle it for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I know, right? I lose my shit after an hour and a half.
I can't do it.
Oh my god. But yeah, man, that's pretty wild. There's this one was just funny. I brought it up just because Mo might remember this one. You remember that?
We saw that painting in Chicago.
Famous painting. So 1930 painting, American Gothic by Grant Wood, depicts a farmer standing beside the daughter, often mistakenly assumed to be his wife. So that's okay. That makes a lot of sense. The painting is named for the house's architectural style. In the background, the two faces in the painting were actually modeled by Wood's sister, Nan Wood Graham, and their dentist, Dr. Brian McKeeby, as shown by the uncanny resemblance in this photo. I don't know why, like, I never really understood exactly why this photo was so famous, but
I don't know.
I know Mo really loved this experience.
Okay, we went to Chicago, you, me, and our friend Musa, and it was, hey, you know, I wanted to go to Chicago. We wanted to get some good deep dish pizza. This was our food tour. We had a few different trips that we wanted to just go try different foods. So we wanted to get deep dish pizza in Chicago, where it was supposed to be, you know, created or something.
Yeah.
Your plan for one of those days, we were there for maybe 3 or 4 days, which was an absolute great plan. You had the idea to let's go to an art gallery for one of those days. I can't remember now. I'm pretty sure I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to go to an art gallery, man. We walked around the art gallery. I feel like it was like 2 or 3 hours. I felt like dead inside the entire time. I was like, I don't like any of this. And then we saw this painting and I was like, cool, finally something I know. Can we go now?
Yeah, Mo did not like I don't think you're one for art galleries. What else did we do on that trip?
I think that same day we went to a very large aquarium, which is maybe just down the road from that art gallery. That was really cool, actually.
I really like the aquarium.
What else did we do? We went up what was
really
that building called?
Yeah,
this West Whistle building. I don't know, something like that. The building that had the glass floors. Mm-hmm. That's what I remember.
Yeah, we did a few cool things. We went I remember the first day, which was the worst decision I've ever probably made in my life, probably unanimously between all three of us, was, I mean, first of all, going there, because Chicago is just, it's rough. It's a rough city. There's a lot of crime, and I mean, we noticed that there was a lot of sketchy looking people that were kind of wandering around, and a lot of homeless people and whatever. That's one thing. But the biggest single worst mistake we made when we went was the very first day when we were just driving into the city and we were approaching rush hour, and we're all like, I'm hungry, let's go eat. And we found something in the city, and apparently it was like some famous diner or whatever, and we went and we're like, okay, whatever, let's just go there. And we were supposed to keep passing it because we were our hotel was like near O'Hare Airport or whatever, and yeah, we made the decision, let's go and eat. And I think we had like Philly cheesesteaks or something. And then by the time we came out, I remember the parking was $35 or something like that, which is just insane. 35 US.
Toronto was bad.
Yeah, no, Chicago's way worse. It's like 35, 45 bucks or something like that for parking. The food sucked, for one. The service was like not that great. Like people were just, I don't know, they just weren't very like upbeat or anything like that. Right. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of Chicago. I've been to so many. Yeah, I've been to a lot of different cities, and that one just didn't really do it for me. The pizza was overrated, and
was it?
Yeah, some parts of the city were pretty cool though. Like some part, like the Skyline area, the Bean and all that stuff.
I just keep thinking of Chicago PD. You ever watch that show?
No, I never watched that, but I used to watch this show called ER. Was one of my favorite shows. I actually just restarted watching it because Amazon Prime has it. And I was gonna cancel Amazon Prime until I saw that they had the show, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna watch this again. And it's based in Chicago. It's just like a whole bunch of people who work in the emergency room in this hospital, and it's a pretty wild story. But I don't know, I just got caught up in this TV show a long time ago and always loved it. So yeah, there's another crazy story that we found. I don't know why, I don't know what's going on this week, but there's so many ridiculous, crazy stories. This one says Harvard morgue manager charged with theft, sale of body parts. Right, I think you sent this one to me, Moshi. The former morgue manager at Harvard Medical School was among 5 people indicted by a grand jury over allegations they stole and sold body parts from cadavers donated by the school, federal prosecutors said. Cedric Lodge, 55, who was fired from his job on May 6, and other defendants were accused of carrying out a black market body part scheme from roughly 28. So, dude, this spanned 4 years at least. United States Attorney Office for the Middle District of Pennsylvania said in the statement on Wednesday.
That's wild.
That is wild.
This person brought people into the school and let them decide what they wanted to buy.
Dude.
But what is this, organs or body parts?
I don't know.
It's probably a little.
I don't know. Hey, who wants?
I can't imagine it's gonna be organs.
It's probably a little bit of everything, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean,
says,
the organs aren't.
Oh, it says right here. It says. Lodge would also sometimes take body parts which included heads, brains, skin, and bones back to his home where he lived with his wife Denise, 63, and some remains were sent to buyers through the mail. Oh my God.
For what?
What? I don't know.
What are we doing here?
Do you think it's
cannibalism?
Cannibals.
It could be.
It could be.
Yeah.
But
it could very well be.
Why would you want to eat what's it called? Formaldehyde?
Yeah, but that's when you're embalmed.
Before.
Oh, okay, this is before that.
I don't know.
Okay, so I was in college for one semester for nursing, and we dealt with cadavers.
Yeah,
they had formaldehyde, but I mean, maybe that's because they were going to be there for a long time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
But when you're at the point in your head where you're going to eat a human person, I don't think they give a shit if there's some chemicals in it.
I have a feeling that formaldehyde is not. You're not going to survive it.
Pretty
probably
poisonous.
not. Yeah, but that's like some Jeffrey Dahmer type of stuff. Like, isn't that basically what he did? Like, he would take these people, take them in, basically drug them, and then just murder them, and then he would start. He was like storing the body parts in like this big bin or whatever, right? Or like no, sorry, the bin was filled with acid. Sorry, I'm mixing it up.
Did you watch the show
I
on
did,
Netflix?
It's been a while.
I only watched the first episode.
You probably couldn't get past
it.
it.
Was so good.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like, I feel like I knew everything that happened just from that first episode. It was so good, and yes, I didn't want to continue it.
It was heavy. That
so
was the
heavy,
thing, right?
So heavy.
Good way to put it.
And then towards the end, spoiler alert: if you haven't seen the Dahmer series, don't listen past this point. Maybe skip ahead a little bit. But basically, by the end of the series, you're rooting for the dude in jail who's like, so there's this guy, you've seen the whole series, right? So basically there's this guy, and this is all actual fact, the guy that basically killed Jeffrey Dahmer. He's like in jail, and he finds out when he's in jail what he did, right? Because he goes to the
Are they in the same cell or something?
No, they're in different cells, but he ends up going to the library, and he starts finding out what Jeffrey Dahmer actually did, because obviously they don't have like TVs and news and stuff like that. So he goes to the library, he finally gets a hold of this information. Now he's in his cell, and he's losing it because he's in his head. I assume the guy might have been like schizophrenic or something like that, and who knows what he was in jail for already to begin with. But I guess he was hearing voices, and he was seeing that God was telling him to end this guy.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. So he's losing it. He's in jail, kind of going back and forth, and he's like, oh, I don't know what to do. Stop telling me. Like, I don't want to do it. And then by the end of it, he ends up, with the help of the security in the jail, ends up cornering Jeffrey Dahmer into this one room, and he gets like a pipe or something like that. It was some random like blunt object.
A weight pipe from
That's what
dumbbell.
it was. That's what it was. Yeah. So he ends up with a pipe, and he's just literally wailing on Dahmer.
Wow.
Right. Not to say he didn't deserve it. I don't condone violence, but that dude kind of, he had it coming.
Disgusting human being.
Yeah, he was awful. So I mean, there's been so many people. Like, I'm kind of fascinated by stuff like that. Like, not that I like it, but it's just there's something, and I think that's why shows like this on Netflix do so well, because it's just intriguing to see abnormal stuff, like what human beings are actually capable of, right? So I think after the Dahmer series, I think the next series Netflix might be working on would be Ed Gein. I don't know if you're familiar with Ed Gein.
I feel like I've heard the name.
You probably have. So he was one of the most notorious serial killers in the U.S. as well. And what he used to do, he would go to basically the cemetery, kind of same thing, where he would steal these bodies and he would take them home, and he would like skin them and make different things out of the parts.
Where he used the skin and made furniture out of the skin or something.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Skulls. His bed frame actually was like all the corners of the bed frame, I believe, were all
I think
made of
there's
skulls.
already a movie about that guy.
Probably, yeah. There's probably movies. People have written songs about him. There's actually a From First to Last song that's written about him.
Really?
I think Ride the Wings of Pestilence. So if you read the lyrics,
that one.
it's that one's actually about Ed Gein. So
where in the States was he
hide
from?
You in my wall, your body will never be found.
Listen. So these are the first lyrics. Hiding behind the shadows, I'll be waiting in the dark to drive this blade straight through your heart. I'll drag your body to the car. Oh God. As blood races down my arm, I think everyone will wonder where you are tonight.
He wrote that song?
No, this is a band called From First to Last that wrote a song called Ride the Wings of Pestilence, but it's about the guy. About the killer.
Sonny Moore, Skrillex. You know who Skrillex is?
Yes.
He makes dubstep music. So he was before Skrillex, he was the lead singer in a band called From First to Last. It was like post-hardcore, screamo type of stuff. And very like, I'll slip my wrist kind of music. And this was one of like their most well-known songs at the time.
What state was this guy going crazy
in? I don't even know. You want to search it up? So I'm curious too, but I know for a while the house was left abandoned, and
there is a movie, 2007 film, Ed Gein, The Butcher of Plainfield.
Damn, I gotta watch that now. So Plainfield must have been the place, maybe.
Ed Gein,
where's Plainfield? Yeah, I know. I'm curious too.
Wisconsin.
That's it. Okay, and it's kind of funny, like, dude, the fact that they all kind of happened in the same area. So you had Wisconsin, which was Ed Gein. You had Jeffrey Dahmer which, if I'm not mistaken, was also Wisconsin, I think, or somewhere in that area. Oh no, actually no, was it Wisconsin, or it might have been I don't know. Just bring
Jeffrey
that one
Dahmer.
up.
Yeah, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin,
Yeah.
and the other guy, the clown killer. What was his name?
That's the one I thought you were talking.
Yeah, he was from Illinois.
Is that the one that drove around the ice cream truck?
John Wayne
Gacy. That's it. Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
He killed kids and stuff too. That guy.
Underage males. Yes, that's who were his common
Oh,
targets.
is this the guy that did the? Wait, John Wayne Gacy. Is there a series on Netflix about him already?
I think so.
There was the tapes. It's called the tapes of John Wayne Gacy, never before heard type of thing. That was pretty
Chicago.
intense too.
John Wayne Gacy, Chicago.
Yeah.
Illinois,
So he was
Something in the water.
mainly on the outskirts, I believe. He would probably go into the city to do it. A lot of times, what he was doing, he was targeting males. A lot of times, people who would work for him. He was like an independent contractor, and he would hire these young males, and they would start working for him, and then he would essentially bring them home, get them drunk, and then start. I don't want to go into too much details, but let's just say at the end of the day, they ended up on the bottom part of the house, under it. So that's actually how he got caught. So the cops were onto him, and they just needed proof at this point that he was doing it. And he was hiding bodies. I think it was, I don't remember the exact number, but it was double digits.
29.
29
Oh my
bodies
God.
in the crawl space of the house. And
Emitted a foul stench for years.
yes.
No kidding.
The whole, like, around the house.
So I don't remember exactly how the cops were catching on to. I think it was because one person got away and then basically told them that, hey, he tried to do this to me and I know exactly what he's doing, and he's going to keep doing it to other people because this guy's a freaking nut job.
So he had a wife, and I'm reading this, but Gacy had told his house guests and his wife that the smell was the result of moisture buildup.
Yeah.
So he killed 20 or 33, I'm looking at now, 33 people. With
29 were hidden in the crawl space. The rest were, I believe, hidden around the property.
It says 4 were in the river or something. And anyway, his wife
I don't know
didn't
about that, but I remember he ran out of space in the crawl space, and he basically had his backyard. So that was the next space that he was using, where he put one in the ground and then he built a barbecue over top of it, just to kind of hide where the freaking body was. Yeah, this dude was
Similar to,
crazy.
we had one in Toronto not long ago, the Bruce MacArthur guy.
Yes, yeah.
He was a contractor, landscaping dude, and he hit a few people in
There's a
big
2021
planter
film.
pots.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah, he was like chopping people up and
Yeah.
putting them in there or something.
Yeah.
My dad actually knew the detective who was part of that case. Yeah. So my dad used to own a restaurant called Cafe Dimitri's at Woodbine Center at the mall. And worst mall ever, but the restaurant was awesome. That's why I was a chunky kid when I was younger. And he actually knew she was a customer. She would come in all the time, worked for Toronto Metro Police, and basically she was on the hunt for this guy. And I'm sure I remember seeing her on the TV show about it. Yeah. How they had been hunting for this guy for years. And it was, I think if I'm not mistaken, it was around the same time as the Don't F with Cats guy. What was his name?
Luca Magnotta.
That's it. Yeah, Luca Magnotta. That guy was another freaking nut job.
I still have to watch that one, actually.
You haven't seen it?
No,
It's bad.
everyone's been telling me it's like the best and the worst.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good
If you're
way to
into
put
that
it.
kind of stuff, you'd definitely like it. But for him, he started out with cats because he was just, I don't know, why would
Twisted
you-
from the beginning.
Yeah, like he was doing like these. He would record it or like televise it online, where he was literally like suffocating cats in a bag or something, right? Recording it and then posting online. And then there was this whole group of people on Facebook who kind of band together, who essentially figured out where he was, because then after the cats, it started escalating to human beings, and he would be targeting homosexual males. He'd obviously, pretend to be into them or whatever it was, and he would bring these people home, and then he would drug them, and then he would murder them and then cut them on tape. Yeah, and he would cut them into pieces. And I think one of them, he left them in a luggage or something in Montreal or something like that.
Sent them in the mail to a few
that
different
what it was?
government buildings, and
What a freaking nut job. But
unbelievable.
Yep, Canada's had its fair share of messed up people.
When you think about the population in the States and how much more people they have compared to us, and how many people like that we have.
How many nut
We're not
jobs
doing
we have?
very well.
I know, right?
We're not doing very well, man.
Yeah, it's
geez.
kind of crazy to think about that. We had Paul Bernardo, and it's like these are all like world headline news breaking stories all coming out of Canada. It's like, oh, there's always crazy stuff coming out of Canada. I mean, not only do we have one of the worst governments in the world, but we also have some of the worst serial killers in the world too. So, but yeah. So apart from that, there was another thing that I had here that I wanted to talk about. One of the most dangerous places in the world is called Chernobyl's Elephant's Foot. Pretty freaking scary. So basically, there's like this blob, and it's like in a room, and apparently if you're exposed to it for a set amount of time, you might as well just consider yourself a dead man or dead woman. On April 26, 1986, a catastrophic nuclear accident occurred at Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine. An explosion at the plant's reactor number 4, caused by a series of human errors and technical malfunctions, released massive amounts of radioactive material into the environment. The disaster had a devastating impact on the surrounding area, and its effects are still being felt today. One of the remains left behind from the accident is a highly radioactive lava-like material nicknamed the elephant's foot. It is an enormous mass of rare substance called corium, approximately 10 feet 3 meters in length. Just a few minutes of exposure to this is enough to kill a person due to its high radiation levels. Pretty wild.
Let's go
right?
see it.
Wow.
Let's go see it, right?
So who was the guy in that picture taking a picture?
Honestly, that's a very good question.
What is he doing?
That's a very, very good question. Dude, imagine risking your life just to get a picture of that.
Yeah.
Like that dude has massive cojones. I mean, you're essentially a dead man if you're exposed for too long to something like that. Unless maybe he just ran in and was like, and then just ran out.
That's got to be very old, that picture, because nowadays we would just use a drone. Right.
True. But I don't think a drone would be able to handle it because of the radiation. The radiation would maybe mess up your drone. It might, it might possible. Actually do that. So what I know about Chernobyl is, I don't know if you guys have you ever seen this show, the HBO show?
No,
there's a show called Chernobyl.
I think I heard from you that it was good.
Yeah, it was honestly, it was fantastic, especially if you're into like historical events and stuff like that. So Chernobyl happened back in, what did it say, 86, when Ukraine was basically under the control of the Soviet Union, and essentially, they had built a bunch of reactors, which most people don't know, that all the other reactors in and around that area are all still active to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That one in particular exploded, and the show alluded to the fact that, and this was apparently true, it alluded to the fact that the Soviet Union was too cheap and just didn't build it properly, and the actual cooling rods that would go in when they went in essentially caused a reaction, and the thing just went and just exploded.
Oh
right.
God.
So now obviously that night that it happened, people didn't really know what had happened. So originally the first responders were a bunch of firemen, right? So they showed up and they're trying to like figure out what this stuff is, and they're like trying to move the debris around, and I think one like picked a piece of it up and literally like burned, like it's a radiating material, right? So you're done. It caused a lot of harm, right? So all those firemen shortly after became very ill and ended up in the hospital, and pretty much all of them died, as far as I'm sure. And they also took all of their clothes. There's actually a room to this day. So this was back when you could actually tour Chernobyl. You could actually, there was a lot of companies.
I remember you saying that you're like, you want to go do Chernobyl. You wanted to explore it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So me and Jazz, we were actually planning on going, I think this year. I think it was this year we were planning on going, and, or no, actually, sorry, I think it might have been last year. Yeah, I think we were planning, we're like, yeah, let's go in like April or May of 2022. And we all know what happened in February of 2022. And it is now...
The Russians are there.
Yeah, the Russians are actually... That was one of the first locations that they took over. Yeah. So I don't know what the details are on that. But you could have actually, up until that time, you could have actually toured it. Like, I know a lot of people, like my friend Steve Ronan, he's been a couple of times actually. And it's wild because all the buildings there are all as if they're all coming back. Right. And everything's just kind of completely abandoned, very quiet. There's like a whole room filled with gas masks all across the floor. It's a very famous photo, very famous scene. It's called Pripyat is the actual city, the town that they had built for all of the people working in Chernobyl reactor number 4. And in the hospital, which is where all these firemen were taken, they obviously took all their clothing off because they were covered in radiation, and they threw them all into this one room in the basement. And that room itself, if you were to actually go with a Geiger meter, goes crazy as you're approaching it. Like, you have to go in with like full suit. Like, I've seen my friend Steve's videos, and I think Exploring with Josh actually went in like to the room, and as you're going closer and closer, the things just go beep 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 beep, beep, and it's just like, dude, fucking
don't go in there.
Deathly stuff. But the elephant's foot has always been super intriguing, because I'm hearing that this may be a cause for concern for humanity, especially in Eastern Europe, but apparently the elephant's foot is still burning through the ground to this day. So it's basically what happened was it's come through the ground, I guess, where the radiator was. It leaked, burned through, leaked, and now it's basically just sitting on this other concrete pad, and eventually could leak through entirely into the water table, which would essentially poison that entire part of Eastern Europe, which is like Ukraine, Belarus, all those kinds of...
If I'm not mistaken, isn't Chernobyl right on the edge of where
close.
the ocean is?
I don't think so.
Am I thinking about another?
I'm not sure. I'll look it up, but yeah, I don't think it is. But yeah, so what
it is right beside the Pripyat River.
Yeah, there's
and
some
then that
body of
river
water
goes
there.
into a big piece of water,
a huge amount of water.
Yeah.
And I can't tell what the name of it is, but okay, so it's right here, goes into this. And what is this? This is the Chernobyl Oblast. I don't know how to.
And that might actually go into the
this
ocean.
Looks like it goes into. It's going to trickle down,
like south into
another river.
I gotta see this on my screen here.
Yeah,
hey,
show it off. Yeah,
bring me up Chernobyl. Come on.
What's with your search bar in the alien ship? Is that just a coincidence, or
at the very bottom.
I didn't even notice that. Yeah, I didn't do that. That just it changes, I guess, by itself. Why is it not?
It's a long way away, but then this is the Black Sea.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So it basically trickles into the Black Sea. So good to know. Yeah, so for this, just so you guys can have some reference as to what Moshi is talking about here, I'll bring it up on my screen. Yeah, so
you might as well
it's around here
zoom
somewhere.
out a lot.
Yeah, but you can see it goes through Kiev.
Yeah.
Right down to the Black Sea.
Basically all the way through there. Then scroll out, and eventually you end up here in the Black Sea. So that's might be a cause for concern now. I'm not a scientist, and I don't know 100% sure, but yeah, it sounds like a shitty situation if you ask me. I always wanted to go.
I'm amazed that they haven't figured out something to do to get rid of this corium stuff.
I don't know. I mean, I guess
been,
it's
40 years.
The problem is having to actually go in there. You can't. That's the problem. Right.
I mean, is that the literal only source of this corium? So this is what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I'm no scientist, obviously.
Well, from what I know is that the rest of it is fine. Everything else is like under control. So what happened was, for a long time, reactor 4 was leaking radiation into the air. When you would go there, like let's say you wanted to tour Chernobyl, if you would go there, I remember the first time watching Exploring with Josh's videos, shout out to him on YouTube, because he made a really amazing series when he went the very, very first time. And he was basically, he would go to the statue, I believe it was a statue of Lenin, right? I think he was I can't remember if it was Lenin or Stalin or something. I believe it was Lenin, though, who was the leader of the Soviet Union at the time. And you would go to the statue. Behind the statue, the Geiger meter wasn't so bad, and then you would go just past it, and it would go crazy. So this stuff was literally in the air for many, many years. We're talking into like, the mid 2000s to the late 2000s. And then eventually what they did was the whole world got together and funded this $100 billion project of building this dome thing that once it was fully constructed, they slowly moved it over the reactor, so that way the thing would not go into the air. Oh, wow. Now the thing only lasts 100 years, as far as I know. So after 100 years, we're just gonna have to come up with another $100 billion, which I guess for the U.S. federal government is not hard to do. Just print some more money, right? Totally no issues with that whatsoever. But yeah, that's pretty much how that works. As far as the actual elephant's foot, I don't know if they'll ever have to actually deal with it, or if it's ever gonna, you know, if there's.
The scary part is right now that's in the middle of a war zone.
Yes, yeah.
And so I remember when the Russians, they were fighting, when they were taking it, they were shooting over it. There was bombs going across it. It's not a good situation.
I don't know, man.
At all.
I don't know. But I know there's the other reactors that are still there, as far as I know, are still active, right? So, I mean, things like this happen every so often. It's just like Fukushima was the same thing. I think that was from an earthquake. It destabilized the nuclear reactor, and it just went, and then the whole town just kind of left. I think my friend Steve Ronan actually just went there, if I'm not mistaken. He's been a few times, and he just did a return trip, because it's been like 10 to 15 years or something like that since the actual Fukushima disaster. But it's crazy, man. Like, going to these places and you just walk into like apartments and schools, and everything's just sitting there as if they literally just got up and walked away. Like people's cars.
That's weird.
You go to the school and there's like a music room, and like there's all like the music stands are all just sitting there, and it's people's clothing is there. And I mean, Pripyat is Pripyat, which is basically where Chernobyl is exactly like that. It's very eerie to see. It's like probably one of the most famous ghost towns in the world, which is why I always kind of
really nice.
Wanted to go. Yeah, it was always really intriguing. I guess what else is intriguing is, what is the deal with all the aliens? Like, what is going on here? So this is new to me. I never heard about this. You guys brought this up before the show. So recently we had a crash in Las Vegas. Like, apparently it was actually captured on a police body cam or something, right? And it was just kind of like he was talking to somebody, and then all of a sudden you just see this random thing shooting through the sky. And a lot of people are saying the same thing, that it's kind of just it's a psyop, and it's a diversion from the government of everything that's really happening. And
nope,
I mean,
aliens.
It's aliens? You're convinced?
I'm convinced.
So I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, do you get
definitely
you're looking at it, right?
Yeah, I'm watching the video. So on his it's a police officer's body cam, and he comes to a house because people are calling the police, saying, "Hey, there's this thing in my backyard." Yeah. And he walks up, and then at some point on his camera, you see like a light flying over in the sky, which doesn't look like anything.
You want to send that to me? Put it on here.
Yeah. And yeah, man, you watch it, and I don't know. To me,
very convinced.
I believed it.
I don't know, man.
The only skepticism I have, and I told you before, nowadays everyone has a cell phone.
Yep.
I don't know if he's a kid, but he was a young adult on the phone with 911 saying, this thing's in my backyard. Everyone's got a cell phone. How come
specifically the Las Vegas thing?
Yeah, in Nevada. Why didn't anyone take a picture?
Well, they're claiming that they have some footage here of it, like a night vision shot. I don't even know what the heck this is, but let's bring this up here and just take a look. I have no idea what this is. It's a news report. Looks like there's a video or something. I got no clue, but there might be. Oh yeah, this is it. Yeah, I found it. Okay, there are aliens in their backyard. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, because we saw footage, or maybe I don't know if it was a picture or video of looking at us, and it's still there. Yeah.
Someone calls 911 reporting two.
Like you said, if they're claiming, oh, I'm looking at it and it's still there, but I guess because the dude was on his phone with the cops, how could he be simultaneously recording?
I agree with Mike, because there was not one person there. There was like 6 or 7 people there, like all standing outside waiting for the cop to show up. Anybody could have pulled up video, absolutely. Cameras.
Oh yeah.
I'm confused though, because it says that they have a night vision shot of it.
Something. I don't know if it's real.
Oh, this. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what the hell this is. This looks kind of creepy. This looks like some Skinwalker stuff right here.
What's he got a red?
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually we're terrified of it.
So there's two
this
people
is legit?
or two
is this
subjects
like,
that are in your backyard?
Ring cam footage?
This is the first time I saw
and they're very large.
Yeah.
They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
Dude, that looks like some demonic shit.
See, I don't know if
Right?
that video was just paired up with his phone call,
Yeah,
or
maybe
if
it was
that was
made
actually
after.
his backyard.
I know that's what I'm questioning too. So let me actually read this for a second. For me, like one of the most fascinating ones that I've been hearing a lot about lately was the Virginia, Brazil one. It seemed pretty convincing. Like the guy did a really good job. He actually went there. He started doing interviews, and there was a lot of stuff that they were trying to hide. Okay, so the footage we just watched, it says watch actual alien footage from Las Vegas landing on duty area. Las Vegas police captured, but it says
It was the car. It was the cop.
that was the cop car.
Not the alien. It was the thing that you see flying in the air.
Okay,
That was
so
a
what
cop
is the
car.
footage we just saw? Then I don't even know what that is.
I don't know. I've never seen
I
it
have
before.
no
I have a
idea.
feeling that's Fugazi. I don't think that's
Fugazi? I don't know. It could be, but who knows, man? Who knows what the hell is going on out there? I mean, you got Area 51 is in that area. It's not far from there. So, there was one I heard it on the radio. I think it was a Q107 or something like that, and the radio host is convinced that it's just an advertisement to bring more people into Vegas.
Oh,
Right? Like
Do
it's
they
just
need any more people? It's Vegas. I don't think
Yeah.
they need much convincing.
you know what,
to go to
dude? They're
Vegas.
struggling, man.
Are
They're
they?
actually,
Really?
yeah. Vegas is. I mean, with the recession, they're getting hit hard. Like I'll show you on Yahoo stocks if you go to look, because I have because I go to Caesar's Palace. I went to Caesar's Palace once, as if I go all the fucking time, but I went one time to Caesar's and I was just curious, and I realized that Caesar's Palace is a public company, right? So if you go to Caesar's Entertainment, which is CZR, let's bring up the 1 year. Right now, it's not looking so bad, but within the last month, it's been pretty bad. So let me bring this up on the screen so you guys can see what the hell I'm talking about. I mean, you guys probably could care less about the stock market, but October 1st 21, their price was $109.46. They're currently at 45.21 roughly right now. Yeah, that's
You can't really blame that on COVID either. When was the lockdowns in the States?
So the lockdowns in the States were the same time as us, essentially.
So maybe it might have been.
I mean, it was, obviously it was partly due to that, because obviously nobody was going to Vegas. And then when they finally did open up, I mean, they still had masks and they still had like limitations as to what you could do there and whatnot. And then finally, around, the only reason I remember is because that's when me and Brent went. They had just removed the mask mandates February. I think that's roughly around, was it February 21 or 22? It was February 2022 when they finally dropped the mask mandates. And then that's when we went, and it was pretty busy, right? But that's usually when the weather just finally starts to warm up in Vegas and people are finally starting to go again. Because people think for some reason Vegas is hot all year round, and it's really not. I would know.
I bet it gets really cold at night.
It does, yeah. It actually does get. It's freezing because I mean you're in the middle of the desert, right?
Yeah.
So, there's been times where. So if you go, when we went, it was last November, I think. So we did this whole crazy road trip. We went down to Austin, Texas, and then from Austin we started making our way through New Mexico. We went to Las Cruces. We went to Tucson, Arizona. Two really, really awesome places. And at that time, it had already started cooling down. I figured Las Cruces, however you pronounce it, would have been the better option because it's more south. So I figured it would be warmer than going to Albuquerque, which looked like the weather wasn't that great, hence the reason why I went there. And then we got to Tucson. It was like 27 Celsius during the day, which I think is like mid 80s or something Fahrenheit. So it was nice. I mean, while you guys were all freezing your butts off here, we were in a heated pool outside in the middle of November, December. And then from there, we ended up in Vegas, which was fun. We stayed at a couple of different casinos. Oh, you brought up that thing? That thing is so creepy. So creepy. I don't want to bring up the TikTok video because we might get in trouble for doing that. But yeah, man, Vegas is fun. We stayed at the Luxor, the big pyramid thing. That was really cool. They upgraded our rooms because they didn't have the room we originally booked, so they gave us a better one, which was nice. And then we stayed at a couple other different places. I've stayed at the Caesars before. Vegas. You've been to Vegas.
I spent the summer there,
Yeah.
July and August.
Where did you stay?
Multiple places. We were there for work, so we were moving around a lot. But it was hot.
How long ago was that?
This was like 9 years ago, 10 years ago. Before my employer that I'm with now, we were training dogs.
Yeah.
And I was in a bite suit. So those big fat bite suits in the middle of the desert.
Oh my God.
Oh man, soaked.
Talk about hot.
But there's a lot of believers out there talking about aliens because they're so close to Area 51.
Yeah, exactly.
People, that's a hot topic down there for sure.
Yeah, for sure, man. They believe a lot of that stuff down there. I don't know, man. I want to say yes. Like, I believe that there's likely something else out there. It's just, it would be nice to have like some proof, right? It's like, it's always seems to get hidden, and I've been hearing a lot of points like, you know, why would they bother with us? Stupid humans are just stupid, right? Like, why even bother? Why care, right? But is it possible that they're coming down and they're just kind of like testing us, like doing medical experiments to find out, like, you know, what we are, what we're capable of, sort of thing? And I don't know, man. I don't know. I would like to go and spend some time out there and do like my own kind of investigation documentary. But yeah, there's a lot of people, like you said, there's so many freaking people out there. Or sorry, it was you who said it. That they're just absolutely convinced. But there's also a lot of people who are very much in part of the hoax community. They're just making it up. They're just doing it for clout, sort of thing. And it is what it is. It's you know.
I do believe they're out there.
Do you?
Oh yeah.
Do you? So, okay. So I've heard, I could be completely wrong about this, but you being part of the Muslim community, you guys believe that in jinns, and the way I've been defined what jinns are. So a lot of people classify jinns as demons, and they are apparently not. Demons are just a completely different entity from a jinn. From what I've been told, jinns are kind of like these weird extraterrestrial creatures that are living among us that we cannot see as human beings, and they're just around here to, you know, cause havoc and mess with it. Is that
kind of like
true?
okay? So, and I'm not an expert. I'm not. I need to brush up on it, but from what I know, from what I remember, it's kind of like an adolescent being. It's kind of fair to call it a demon. However, it's not inherently evil. But it's something that you wouldn't see in this world. It has its own kind of like, if I'm not mistaken, it has its own plane, right? You know, so they can affect things. So like one thing that I've heard many times is that you don't throw boiling, like cooked oil down a drain because some jinns like to live down the drains. So you'd never see it in this world. However, they could affect you. You could affect them. They could for lack of a better word, they could haunt areas and
that's what
that
I've
kind
heard.
of stuff. Yeah. However, I don't believe they're literal demons or like devils or anything inherently evil. It's more mischievous.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard about it. But what it goes a little bit further, and what I've heard, I don't remember the exact how it was described to me. I just remember having a conversation with somebody, and they were saying that it's going to be a really, really bad thing. Like a lot of bad stuff is really going to start happening when people start physically seeing jinns with their own eyes. So I don't really know too much about it, but if I ever bring that person on the show, then maybe we'll talk more about it.
And this came from the Muslim faith?
Yeah, it's from Islam, yeah. So they believe that it's like jinns are kind of like these really, really ugly creatures that you can't see, that are like, imagine like there's one standing right there, but we can't see it, but it's there. And then all of a sudden it like knocks my fake cactus over or something, right? Like that's basically what they do, because they're around, their whole purpose is to basically mess with people, right? And like Mo's saying, they're not inherently demonic or evil, but they're meant to be, you know,
mischievous.
The first level, I guess, to like the lower layer of evil, I guess you could say.
So there are, I am just quickly brushing up on it, but there are also ones that are not bad at all, not mischievous at all, because they are actually, they accept So this is what we believe, right? They accept Islam, and so they would be, they would do the same things that humans would do. And if they're Muslim, they would pray to God and they would believe in that kind of stuff. So yeah, there are certainly ones that do all the stuff that we're talking about that you would think like a demon or maybe a ghost or something that would do. But yeah, there are certainly others as well.
Yeah. I mean, so for us in our faith, being Catholic, I mean, we believe obviously in good and evil, God, and, there's the angel, and then the devil, who is essentially an archangel who lost its wings and ended up into, being sent down to hell, which, eventually turned into Satan or whatever. And if you've ever seen the movie Dogma, it actually does a really fantastic job. Like, it's meant to be funny. Like, obviously you got Jay and Silent Bob, and you got Chris Rock, and Ben Affleck's in it, Matt Damon, all these great stars. And basically it does a fantastic job of, in kind of a jokingly way, to explain how angels work and how God works. And it was cool because God plays this whole character that humans can't hear God because in the movie's case, it was a woman. In her case, God's voice was so powerful that no human or even no human could hear her voice because it would literally make you explode. Right. So towards the end of the movie, the way that they killed Ben Affleck was because he was essentially at this point an angel gone wrong, and he was now roaming the earth, and he had to pass through this archway, and that's how he would be forgiven for all his sins and then led into heaven. And it's funny because the archway was actually this abandoned cathedral in Pittsburgh that I've been to that I didn't realize was the one that was actually used in the movie. So I'm like, and then years later, after watching this movie like 10 times, I'm like, wait a second, that cathedral looks really familiar. That place looks really familiar. And then I found out that half the scenes in the movie were filmed in Pittsburgh. I'm like, holy crap. So basically the whole concept was these two angels, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, who were bad. They would go around killing people and just wrecking havoc amongst humanity on Earth. And I think they got kicked out of heaven. And the way that they were trying to get back into heaven was they would pass through this archway, and then that would, like I said, forgive them of their sins, and they would be allowed back into heaven. What ended up happening in the movie was that they essentially shot off their wings, which at that point turned them into human beings. And then God comes down, and she tells, like, she's about to say something, and so everybody has to cover their ears, and she starts speaking, and it's like, oh, whatever, and then just like the angel's like head explodes or whatever, because at this point he's become human, so when he hears her voice, her head explodes. It's a funny movie the way it's done, but just like the way it kind of explains dogmatic religion, like Catholicism, essentially, is just like, it was cool for like a younger generation to kind of like, oh, okay, that makes some sense, right? Yeah, I don't know. That was like one of my favorite movies of all time. But yeah, in Catholicism, we believe in, angels and demons and that whole sort of thing. And ghosts essentially are people who are supposed to be stuck in purgatory, right? So they haven't quite made it to heaven, and they're just kind of stuck roaming around on Earth and, just kind of, I guess, reliving the sequences of their past life. That's a lot of times when it comes to paranormal, that's what we think most likely it is residual energy. So it's kind of like they're just kind of there's a lot of questions and very few answers, but that's all kind of part of it. And then you got demons on the other hand, who are some bad juju, and you don't want to deal with no demons. But
no, thank you.
Speaking of angels and demons, did you guys hear about the dark angel statue in Siberia? I don't know what is this.
Not until today.
Is this like legit? This is not what I'm looking for.
You were telling me that it might have been debunked, but I don't know.
I have no idea. I can't even find the article anymore. Where the heck did it go? Where did you go? That's the elephants.
It just looks so detailed. Like, it's hard to believe something that old is that detailed.
Yeah, I don't know. Dark angel. How did I lose the page? Oh, I think it's this. No? Angel? There it is.
You go.
Yeah, so supposedly, I don't know if this is real, was a Russian fallen angel found, viral TikTok video claim explored. So apparently they're claiming that they found this pretty large statue, and it looks so lifelike and creepy at the same time. On January 25th, 2023, a TikToker shared a video of a statue that was claimed to be a fallen angel. The video has since gone viral, and people have different speculations about it. The sculpture was allegedly excavated by miners at a location 340 kilometers away from the Russian town of Zaya in Amur Oblast. That's wild.
The lost statue.
Yeah. I wonder if I could play
So why are
this.
people freaking out so much? I don't get it.
I got no idea.
I guess they believe that it's an actual angel that fell and got stuck in a mine or what?
I don't know.
I don't
Yeah,
understand.
I guess that's what like the thought is of
It
it.
is very creepy looking.
Yeah.
It's like a sword in the middle or something in the middle.
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out like is this bogus or is this like a real Legend Fallen Angels is a fake sensation. So in the video, the two mine workers working at a gravel pit seem to have stumbled upon a bizarre statue. They spoke about digging it up from the ground using an excavator. The workers took turns taking a photo with the object, and we heard talking about repenting something. They also claimed that they felt the statue was emitting some kind of energy. The two workers further said they wasted no time informing the authorities, who were apparently sent choppers to get the statue.
So it was fake or was it?
I don't know. Until their arrival, the user has companions who were asked to be with the statue. After the video has been shared by a few TikTok users and even on YouTube, netizens flooded the comments with their own version of what the statue could be. Some said it looked real, as if the angel was petrified and was turned into stone. Others believe it was just a prop from an old movie.
I'm reading a Reddit on it, and the best comment I see is, "Damn, I thought this was the trailer for Dogma 2."
We were just talking about it. That's so funny. I mean, I don't know, man.
Most of what I'm seeing on it is that everybody thinks it's fake.
Yeah.
They think it's just like a mannequin, some really good canvas, and
It's a statue
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
at best.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was in
exactly.
a church at some point. Like, who knows? I don't know.
Who knows,
I don't
man?
know.
I got no idea. There's too many of these.
I'm gonna send you out there to explore it.
You're gonna send me to? I gotta go to Siberia. Is that what's
Not a
happening?
good time to go there.
I'm busy, bro. I'm going to Alberta with Mike next
Oh,
week.
true.
So, well, he's gonna be there before me.
True.
but-
Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
What are you doing out there?
We got a baptism to go to.
Nice.
So my best friend's baptizing his third child.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm the godfather, so we're going.
Hmm.
And then the rest of the trip we're hanging out with these guys. Gonna go do a road trip to BC, Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
We're gonna go to a very large haunted location that has black shadow figures, and Anthony already told me he's down. So now I'm just trying to convince Mike if he wants
I'm
to
coming.
come.
You have to now.
You're coming?
Yeah.
Where is it, in Vancouver?
It's 4 hours northeast. I don't want to say exactly where because I
Right.
don't want too many people to know where this
I'll
is.
wear a diaper.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
But yeah, it looks really cool, so it's something to look forward to. I'm like busting my butt right now because I'm just trying to basically get prepared for it because I just want to film as many videos as I possibly can. And then while we're there, I just want to film vlogs and just have like, a good time with my friends because too much work, too much work, no play makes Angelo dull boy or something like that.
All work and no play make Angelo
Well,
dull
you
boy.
can still do your vlog and have fun. and
Yeah, of course. I mean,
little
vlogging.
work.
Vlogging's fun because it's real life, right?
Right.
It's like, it's us going day to day, like about our business and whatever. And it's
Yeah,
just
there's
very
certainly
easy.
a lot more laughing in your vlog videos than the main channel.
Yeah, the main channels are usually
Lot less
me,
dark.
alone in a forest, finding weird ass stuff and going to haunted places. Lately by myself, like a cemetery. I did a haunted house that we call the abandoned haunted witch's house, just based on the story, and that place is wild.
Where's that?
That's I can't say.
Like GTA, Toronto?
Yeah,
Ontario?
it's like about maybe an hour north of here or something like that. Yeah. That one, your friend Stefan actually owns that one.
Oh, yeah.
It's super
Oh,
funny.
I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about
he
now.
messages me one day and
Yeah,
he's like, "Hey,
yeah.
where's that house, by the way?" I sent him the location. He's like, "Oh, I own that property." I'm like, "Perfect. Now I can go whenever I want. I owe you dinner, bro." He's like, "Yeah, whatever. Sounds
the cops
good."
show up. Hold on, let me call the owner.
Yeah,
Here you go.
yeah. So yeah, I'm super excited to go next week because we
Me
did,
too.
like we mentioned in the previous episode we had you on. We went to Alberta when was it? September?
September, yeah.
Yeah. So we had the time of our freaking lives. Went to Banff and Mike had the greatest day of his life.
It was beautiful. I saw a video of that.
We got to top it this time.
How do we top that though?
Well, the Calgary Stampede's going to be on. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, it's going to be Canada Day. I forgot.
And
we're in
Canada
Alberta
Day.
on Canada Day.
Amazing.
So that's going to be a lot of fun and a lot to look forward to. And
Calgary Stampede. The date says Friday, July 7th.
Yeah, it's the week after we get there.
Oh, but you are there for that long.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So at some point, I don't want to say the exact schedule, but at some point we'll be in Calgary for a while, and then we're heading to Vancouver, and then after Vancouver, we're heading back to Calgary for the last couple days, which we will catch basically the tail end of the Stampede, which will probably be the best end of the Stampede.
I want to get some tickets to the general tickets you can buy when you're there, but I think we have to buy tickets for like the rodeo and the night shows. So it'll be interesting.
Be so cool. So for those of you who have no idea what the Calgary Stampede is, I don't even really know what the Stampede. I just know like you said, it's basically a rodeo. They do a lot of like country shows and
looks like a big exhibition. Like I'm looking at like what's this thing called? A Ferris wheel. I'm looking at a bunch of these tents and all that kind of. Looks like an exhibition.
It's
the Toronto,
really big,
like Western exhibition.
Well, that's what it is, right? So Alberta is essentially considered the Texas of Canada. True in some ways, not exactly true in a lot of other ways, but it's there's a lot of country music. They're very into that over there. They do have a lot of wildlife, they love their horses, a lot of ranchers. Like you go just outside of Calgary when we were driving through, there was like just farmland after farmland. You see a lot of like the little oil rigs and stuff pulling oil out of the ground, and it's really cool. It's like such a unique place, unique experience. Then you go like an hour and a half north and you're in the mountains in Banff. We were at Lake Louise, which is where Mike got married, right by the lake. Beautiful scenery, lots of like super blue lakes because it's all glacier runoff which feeds the lakes, and it's all the minerals that gives it this blue that you can see behind me, but even bluer. It's not even doesn't even do it justice back here. But yeah, such a really cool place. I think Moshi should come with us.
I think he should.
Just quit his job and just come with us.
I don't think that's a place for a 10-month-old baby.
No,
that would be hard.
Yeah, that would be a little bit challenging.
Someday, definitely.
Yeah,
certainly.
It's okay. You could just leave the baby with the no, not with the wife, with your friend. No,
that's right. She's got 3 now. What's one more?
Yeah, exactly. What's an extra baby at this point? That's geez. Okay. But yeah, I think I think we're about to wrap this episode up. Anybody else have anything interesting to add or
see you on the West Coast?
See you on the West Coast, yeah.
What are you guys gonna eat this time? You looking for any other special restaurants?
Alberta beef, steak.
Rattlesnake.
Yeah, maybe rattlesnake.
Hopefully it's there this time.
Well, yeah, exactly. Last time we couldn't get it at the Grizzly restaurant.
Yeah, we'll go back.
Hopefully they have it this time. Yes, definitely steak though.
100%.
So last time we went, we didn't really have the opportunity to have as much steak. So we did have the ribeye, which was it was the bison ribeye, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
Would not regret that, but I want to try like actual, normal cow steak.
I have a couple places pegged for us. I got a couple places ready.
I'm excited.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm excited. I always go out of my way for good steak. There was Wagyu on the menu.
There was.
Ooh, was it? You got me the Wagyu steak, right?
Wagyu, yeah. What was the name of that company again?
I don't even remember anymore. No, you can't say it unless they sponsor the channel.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, I remember when I passed 100,000 subs, all of a sudden, Mo shows up. He's like, "Oh, I have something for you." I'm like, "Okay." He shows up. He has a fucking frozen steak.
That's great.
Literally. I'm not,
like usually like people would like give alcohol, right? But I'm not into that at all, obviously. So I'm gonna bring you like the best steak I can find.
Oh my
God.
Oh yeah. And you cooked it at like 2 a.m.
I had to because I was leaving the next day. So I'm like, I can't just leave this fucking steak here in the freezer for the next like month, because I was leaving for a month, right? I'm like, there's no way I'm leaving this beautiful marbled Wagyu steak here while I'm away for a month. So I'm like, okay. I literally ran this thing under the water, like took it out of the packaging, ran it under the water, and defrosted as best as I possibly could. And then I think I just cooked it in the oven for like a little bit, which, I mean, it's not as good as grilling it.
The Wagyu steak, cook it under the sun. Who gives a shit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it was, oh man, that steak was good.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the flavor and the tenderness of it, holy! And I overcooked it too, and it still came out beautiful. That's the thing with good quality steak, is you can basically ruin it,
Absolutely,
and it's still good.
Yeah,
right.
No well done allowed.
No well done.
You're,
people who eat well done steak is it's medium rare or nothing, right? So. Yeah. Anyways, guys, I think we have 2 more shows this week. So you guys will have some stuff while I'm away, because we do have a couple of videos banked, which is fun. So we got 2 more guests coming up. One of them is going to be my friend Exploring with Brad, and then another one is going to be a friend of Moshi's. 2 obviously interesting guests, and that's pretty much it for this episode. I think hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you to Mike for last minute deciding to join us, since the others obviously couldn't join us.
Thank you again. Thank you.
No problem. Anytime.
Totally
Enjoy having you here.
Yes.
Love you guys.
Absolutely. We'll probably have Mike on some more shows. It is still kind of early. I don't know how you guys feel about doing the after show. Like a half an hour, 40 minutes. I got a couple things.
Yeah, we got to populate our Rumble page. So if you guys don't know, we have, is it more than, it's an app. There's an app called Rumble, not Bumble, but Rumble. Head over to Rumble, look for the Brave podcast, and you'll get the really spicy stuff, which happens after hours, which is after 10 p.m. currently.
Absolutely. We may just do the entire show in our underwear, so you have to watch it.
Ooh.
But
what
don't
forget. Calvin Klein's.
Calvin Klein's. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. If you like these random, interesting, and weird topics that we bring up, and other interesting guests. I guess we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks again, and bye-bye.
Good night.